Choip, choip, choip. Choip, choip, choip.
They say the most beautiful view of this kingdom is from the side. Who knew 2D side-scrolling strategy games were possible? I didn't. I was pretty skeptical. And subsequently, I waited quite a while before trying this game out. It works well. You start each run as a procedurally generated king or queen, tasked with rebuilding the kingdom, with each run's map also procedurally generated, and different. Well, as different as it can be. It's 2D after all. There you start with a few coins and use those coins to recruit followers, and also to buy them equipment and assign them roles in the kingdom. Hunters to defend the kingdom and earn gold through hunting, and builders to build your defenses. Then you gallop off trying to find out as much as you can about the area before night falls and you have to retreat back to your base to prevent these creatures from getting your crown and ending your run. While you're at it, collect gold from your followers, invest it in your kingdom to increase the options available to you, and try expanding your kingdom to make those options more viable. And don't forget to hire more recruits to oversee this expanded territory. And so the loop restarts. Expand until you have access to all the necessary resources, or until you border the portal from whence the enemy comes. Ideally both. These portals are very tough, especially since when you actually destroy it, a massive nightmarish wave of enemies attacks you, and will most likely overwhelm you. Repeat this process until all 4 portals on the map are destroyed, and then all you have left to do is survive the big one. At the end, securing your kingdom. Huzzah! You probably won't achieve this on your first run though, unsurprisingly. But when they take your crown, you can start a new run and use your newfound experience to last even longer. But hopefully as a queen though, she has a very nice flowing dress. Kings look as though they wear a pair of bleached jeans. This gameplay loop is surprisingly fun. When it has you, it has you. It gives that high when you know you oversee and own this thriving kingdom with sweeping tracts of land. As you're raking in the coins your followers earn you, kind of like a tithe. And when you're surviving the deadly nights. An imposing keep in the background. Galloping across your lands, surveying them, can make you feel quite powerful. Which is a bit surprising since those large tracts of land usually can have nothing on them. The hero protecting the lands, earning endorphins when he's collecting all of those coins. In my opinion, this game's coin pouch is one of the best ways ever in any video game of representing gaining wealth. No, 1 coin fell out! Honestly, this gameplay loop felt engrossing for far longer than I anticipated. And whenever the feelings of power and excitement don't kick in, the usually simple nature of the gameplay that doesn't really require that much thought, when you're yet again galloping in between objectives, can be really calming and soothing. Large open plains, beautiful dark forests, that only allow a trickle of light to pierce its canopies, mist and babbling brooks, and your constant river companion that acts as your reflecting pool. Throw in some serene music. Yes, things in between the action segments can get pretty meditative. The perfect excuse to let your mind wander a little. Oh no, I died again. Okay, let's do this again. Which I did, and altogether I played this game for about 10 hours. Which is quite short if you look at this game as a strategy game. In all fairness, I only managed to almost complete the game. Because as fun as that simple gameplay loop is, eventually you will get tired of doing the same thing over and over again, especially when you've come very close to completing the game. I mean, it's not a roguelike, there's no in-between benefit you gain from playing other than your experience and knowledge. All progression is lost. So close and yet so far. And now I have to do it all over again. Ugh, so many staff shortages. Ugh, this catapult is taking forever. I don't have enough gold to upgrade this. Now I have too much gold. Topped off with the dread you feel when you see a massive wave of enemies and know you aren't prepared. I have to do all that again. Oh well, that doesn't have to diminish the excellent experience I've had up until this point. Sure, it had no story, but it definitely had atmosphere. And if you let it, that will drive you forward and deliver an experience that's lovely and involved. And relaxing. I find it very easy to believe that some of you would opt to choose this as an in-between game, just to decompress with your horse. The action elements do take some getting used to, however. The combat is quite one-sided in the enemy's favor. Small enemies mob you, and the frontmost enemy is used as a shield against your arrows. So when the enemy comes en masse, usually you won't have enough archers to defeat them before they break through your lines and cause you to run. To the safety of your walls and watchtowers are essential. You constantly have to plan and be prepared so that your enemies are met by your army from behind the safety of walls, before they brutalize you in the night. Otherwise they will break through your undefended walls while the reinforcements are en route and they will be sitting ducks, usually heralding that now you have to play catch-up, trying desperately to close the holes in your defense, but closer to your base, with the opportunity of expanding to where you were being the only reward for doing so. And bigger enemies are so arrow-spongy that if more than one of them attacks at the same time, there's very little chance that you'll survive the altercation. Without having to retreat your front line, that is. So other than the defensive structures, you really need an abundance of troops. And that can be a bit of a chore, because you recruit followers from camps, and they usually only have 2 available per day. And thus running between the camps to recruit all the available followers for the day becomes a daily task. And yes, by daily, I mean in-game time. That can usually take a day. But once you have a sizable force, it looks pretty imposing, and pays off. You know, until your walls fall anyway. The combat is methodical, and quite mesmerizing. Actually, indirect. I wouldn't blame some of you for labeling this game's genre as tower defense instead of strategy. But fair warning, it still looks short then. In some ways, shorter. The game does work on the warhorse quite well, and on Steam, it is quite cheap. Scratch that, now it's actually free to play. Huzzah! And thus automatically has the greatest possible value for money. Are you honestly gonna tell me this game doesn't look cool enough to try for free? I felt it was worthwhile, and back when I got it, it was still being sold at a price. Stereotypically it is kid-friendly, I suppose. It's not really violent, not in a bloody way at least. Some people will chance it with their kids. Probably the only thing that should give you pause on that front is the design of these things. And the game is easy to download as it only takes up 288 megabytes on the hard drive. The game has a beautiful pixel art style, is therapeutic, and has a great atmosphere. It has a pleasant and simple gameplay loop, but it might drag on after a while, after dying a couple of times and restarting, and it has quite a unique design for a strategy game. Some might compare it more with a tower defense. On the maybe side, I'll quickly throw it in here, the game has no story. None. It has a great atmosphere, but no story. And the gameplay is quite methodical and indirect. Some might consider it slow and lumbering, and none of those things are for everyone. and at times the mechanics that cause this can feel rather like a con. To me it felt fine, it's just a different kind of gameplay, but I'm sure you may be able to see whether or not that will be for you. Put it in cons if appropriate. But in order to address that in a less extreme way, I have thought of a con. The game has no roguelike elements. The only thing you take over from dying to restarting is your experience and knowledge. All of your progress is lost. Nothing remains. I know nothing lasts is kind of the slogan of the Kingdom franchise, but here it's pretty grating. Come on, play it. Those cons aren't that bad for something this beautiful and unique. I recommend you see how long you last. I doubt you'd care after a while. Just look at that calming water. This kingdom is the most prized agricultural kingdom in the world, for it has an infinite river, and thus infinite grains.
It's absolute punishment.
Well, that's corny. Don't worry, I'll spare you this time.
Choip, choip, choip. Choip, choip, choip.